Now we will be live on Facebook. Okay. All right. We are officially live on Facebook. Wait, hold on. There we go. I have to make sure I mute the Facebook, otherwise it's the background noise. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm here with Jason Young. So excited to get to do 5 questions with you. I think you're the first man that I've done this with. I haven't had very many men volunteering to be interviewed for the 5 questions. So thank you. You're the
Cool.
first one.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure many of the ER Shred community members know that you just recently got over your surgery and you're recovering, and look at you, you're alive and well and thriving back home. So we're all so grateful and happy to see that you're doing well and healthy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Well, let's start by having you introduce yourself for anyone who might be new to the community. Tell us a little bit about you, your personality, what you do for a living, all that fun stuff.
My name is Jason Young, and I was born and raised in Salem, Oregon. Just recently relocated the family to Queen Creek, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix, and loving the sunshine. We're used to lots of cold and rain this time of year, and it's beautiful and sunny and yeah, just amazing out there. Lots of vitamin D.
Yes.
So yeah, so we love it. We it was the best move we made. We should have done it sooner. Well, I don't know. I always think we should have done something sooner, but then maybe my son or daughter wouldn't be here. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but we made the move.
Be in warm weather for sure. I love that. We're in Southern Utah.
Yeah, we love it. And I as soon as I'm fully healed up and I can get out and move some more without building too much pressure, I like to walk in the desert, and we've got lots of area through the neighborhood that's, it's desert floor, but we're still in suburbia. It's still residential. There's a mountain right across the street I could go climb, but I haven't ventured out that far. I just hit the trails through the neighborhood. But
you're easing your way back into like being physically active.
Yeah. But it's good here. Back home we have lots of forest, and there's some really cool trail, outdoorsy stuff to do there for sure, fishing and hunting. And I mean, it's the Pacific Northwest, so it's awesome for that. But when we look at pictures back home now, it just looks wet. So everything is so wet. So yeah. But what do I do for a living? I've had multiple businesses over the years. I've been mostly self-employed the better part of my adult life, but only worked for other people for maybe 5 or 6 years out of the 30 years I've called myself an adult. And we've had service businesses and retail businesses, mostly in the tech industry, from cell phones to AV, home theater. Most of my career was custom home theater, audio, video, distributed audio through the house. I've hung somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 flat screen TVs on walls and hundreds of projectors. And my business, my business for, I don't know, 15 years at least, was called Theater by Design. And I named it that because I would take people's living room or family room or bonus room, and by design, it would become a movie theater. So
Fun.
hence theater by design. But
Yeah.
so I'm a nerd geek. You know, I like to take things that are really technical and then make them work seamlessly, and then teach people how to push one button to do 20 things,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But you don't do that anymore. Now you're just doing
No,
the
yeah.
fair,
So
right?
now recently we've been as of the end of 2019, we bought a virtual reality motion simulator, 6-person, looks like a convertible car from the movie Tron Legacy, and we take it
Oh,
to fairs and festivals and car shows, rod runs, air shows, and wherever there's lots of people, and then we sell an experience.
do you still get to use that passion you have for all the technology and stuff that you were just talking about?
Yeah,
Is that
there's
still-
seven computers on board and
Oh,
some real fancy electronics that makes the linear actuators move, so it's got the motion platform. It's pretty nerdy stuff.
that's cool. So
It's
is that
all
how
it's
did
all
you come
hidden.
up with that whole idea then?
No, I didn't. First time I saw VR, I was 12 years old. I think we were at a fair, and it was pretty lame back then. You had like this guy that was made out of 3 triangles who shot a triangle shaped gun, and triangle shaped bullets came out, and there was
Oh,
like two flat platforms and a staircase, and anyway, it was really lame, but
yeah.
um nothing that you could sell, they
Oh,
but anyway, uh and now we have 110 different simulations. For the 4 main ones that we play are like a cartoon motorcycle adventure. You're in the sidecar of a motorcycle, and this crazy cartoon character jumps on, tries to give you a cheeseburger. A giant bird swoops down, steals a cheeseburger, and you take off chasing him, and you almost hit a train, and you jump off
oh,
anyway, it's pretty fun. That's our fun for all ages ride. And then we have a big carnival ride that swings you 150 feet in the air and flips you upside down, and that's sheer thrill and excitement. And
yeah.
then we have a couple of shooting games that are, more like arcade style
Yeah.
shooters, Starfighter and whatnot.
So
But
when you head to the fairs, do you drive? Do you pull all that
yeah,
equipment and things?
we
You
have
like a big semi or what?
no, just 26-foot enclosed car trailer that I modified to haul a simulator instead of a car.
Oh
So
my
I
gosh.
basically I just put, yeah, the machine rolls around on these little casters, and so I had to put um rails in the car hauler so that the casters would fit into the rails, and when we winch it into the trailer, it doesn't roll and slam into the wall or tear up the floor.
Oh,
And
wow. That's so
yeah,
cool. Well, that
so
sounds fun that you get to go and be around a lot of people. You're like an extrovert, right? I think we talked about that.
yeah, I wasn't born that way, but I've trained myself to be, growing up. When I um in high school, I dropped out of high school my sophomore year with a 0.5 GPA, which means I had an A in math and an F in everything else, because at the time that's how I felt about school, just
Yeah.
F everything else. So
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was a fat kid in school. I got teased a lot, and ultimately it caused me to quit high school. So leaving high school, uh, I didn't have any social acumen. Uh, I was very much an introvert, and so I spent a lot of my adult life uh, teaching myself to be more outgoing, more extroverted, and um, and it served me well. You know, growing up, my dad had a similar business. So I, as a child, I was a big people watcher. We were in the fair, doing the fair thing then. And so I would sit back and watch other people interact, but I never really put myself out there a whole lot.
Oh,
But as an adult, I just, um, I don't know, I just taught myself to be more outgoing and, you know,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
For instance,
yeah.
we had, I don't know, 10 years ago, we had, we rented a room, a banquet room to promote our network marketing business. And I got up in front of in front of a room of only like 8 people, and I knew all of them.
Yeah.
But for some reason I had tremendous stage fright. I choked up, I couldn't breathe. I literally felt like running out of the room screaming and crying like a girl, like a little girl. And I did have to, ultimately I had to leave the room, get a drink of water and catch my breath, because I thought I was going to pass out.
Mm,
So not extroverted in that way at all. Public speaking, not a chance.
yeah.
And it wasn't until our our Shred community that I could even do a Facebook Live or get,
Oh,
the
that's so
camera
cool.
terrified me. And yeah.
Oh, wow, that's so cool to know, because I would have thought that it's just comes natural to you. Like, just
Yeah.
seeing you on live videos and the different calls that you've been on, I would have just assumed that this is just who you are. You're just like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
comfortable in front of the camera and talking in front of people. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think
Not so
that's really
much.
cool
Not,
example
yeah.
for
No,
others
it's
that
a
you can like
muscle.
grow into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a muscle for
That's
sure.
so cool. So, well, we kind of touched a little bit on the things that you're a little bit passionate about, but I think we could go right into the third question, which is like, if you could spend more time doing the things that you truly love, where do you see your life in about 5 to 10 years? Like, I love to visualize the future, what you see yourself doing
Yeah.
in your ideal life.
Um, that question comes at an interesting time, because we transitioned from one business to another just a couple of years ago, and then the pandemic hit, and then I had a brain surgery, and then I had another brain surgery, and
Yeah.
then we moved to another state. And um, as it happens, life throws curveballs at us all the time. Um, and so right now I'm at a crossroads, because that business that we're doing currently um, isn't serving us so much. That financially we do very well with it, but my daughter's 15. She doesn't want to travel anymore. My wife's had enough after a couple of seasons. She wants to be home with the kids and not on the road. And so it takes a different kind of person to do that. So um, uh, being beings that I've had this health crisis and come through it so well, I've kind of found a new passion to um, help other people, um, to become healthy. And so we're attempting to do that, um, to coach and help people through similar health issues and whatnot. And so one thing that I've always wanted to do, that I said, once I have enough money, enough capital, and I can do whatever I wanted to do, I've always wanted to make the world's best prosthesis, the prosthetic limbs, like artificial
Yeah.
limbs. And so, you know, I've always been kind of an inventor and idea guy. I've always come up with a ton of ideas, never patented any, never followed through on them. I don't know why. But but one dream I always had was someday I'm going to have enough money and enough free time that that I'm going to build a bionic arm or leg that someone that would be so impressive that someone would nearly want to remove their own real limb to put it on, right?
That's
So
awesome.
that you know, so that someone uh, a veteran who lost a limb in wartime, or um, my grandfather, my mom's dad, uh, ended up, he was a welder and a pipe fitter his whole career, and he was around asbestos wrapped pipes, uh, and later in life he lost his leg from the knee down, um, and I always thought it would be great to give him a leg that would allow him to do the things. You know, he worked in the garden and he walked or rode his bike everywhere. He was always really physically active. And when he lost his leg, um, his whole world changed. And I know that happens for a lot of people. So when I was a kid, we were at a car show and I saw this guy walking through the car show, and I could see him from the waist up or chest up. And he had a whole entourage of people. It was obvious that everybody loved the guy, right? He was just um, kind of lit up the room as he walked through. And I noticed as he cleared this car that he had shorts on and he had a prosthetic limb, right? He was missing his left leg from the knee down. And it was the coolest, like, spring. It had a shock on it. It was anodized bright orange. He even put LED lights on it.
Oh,
Like,
that's awesome.
yeah, it was really, really cool. Like, he was so proud of this, of his prosthesis that,
Yeah.
um, anyway, it didn't slow him down at all. And I couldn't tell in his stride before I saw it that he even had it on, right? It was really cool.
Oh,
But so I always thought that it would be really cool to make something even better. And now they have pretty awesome technology that, you know, that you can control a hand with your mind. Um, so anyway, so kind of got off on a tangent, but
that's
that's what
fun.
that's what I
I
would do.
love to
I've
think
always
about
wanted
that.
to help people in that way. I've always
Yeah.
wanted um, to improve people's lives, uh, and, you know,
Yeah.
take them to a better place. Health.
Yeah. Well, so have you been able to, other than your like home theater endeavor and getting to create that, and that was kind of a fun little thing for you, are there other things in your past that you've are really proud of that you've created or overcome some of your accomplishments? I'd love to hear about some of those things that you're proud of.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you know, I I've well, I've already said I built a few businesses that were quite successful. One of them we talked about, but um, uh, I um, I tried corporate America for a little while. I worked for a big electronics company, a retailer, and I created an install team for them, similar to what I did for myself. When I interviewed for the job, they said we don't have a position like that. And I said, well, you do now, because here I am. So I created an install team and trained them. And in about 2.5 years, they made me AV manager, and then I was promoted to home office, became an AV buyer, climbed the corporate ladder to 2 rungs from the top, um, in 2.5 years, and then found myself stuck in a cubicle in an ad room. So um, decided that corporate life was
Oh,
for me. I figured out why I didn't climb that ladder sooner,
yeah.
but I was proud for um what I had accomplished, in a short amount of time. And hired on at a higher pay rate than anybody they've ever hired um, before and since, and promoted really, really quickly. So I would say built successful businesses, promoted rather quickly, um, in a business. I've always kind of chased um, money and business, and so I'm proud of those things. I recently, well, 10 years ago, I lost over 100 pounds. And I was pretty proud of myself for that, and struggled my whole life with that. And then more recently, um, lost 80 something again. And so I'm pretty proud of that. I mean, it
Yeah.
takes quite a bit of discipline to do that.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Like, wow, I'm so impressed and excited for you as far as like the new direction. You said that you're in this crossroads, and like
yeah,
just thinking about where you've come from, the growth mindset that you have, the innovators, inventors mind that you have, and your passion for health and nutrition based on your own health crisis, and the fact that you were able to lose all that weight, and now you're here in this space where you have this opportunity and you're about ready to dive into that. It's just so exciting to see what you're going to create with the skill sets that you have now, and the
yeah,
belief that you have in yourself that you are capable of building something based on your past experiences. You've done it before. You've built businesses. You've been innovative about it, which I think is required for building any kind of business. And sometimes we think, when building a network marketing business, we think, oh, we just have to do it the way this person did it, and then we'll be instantly successful. But I think what we're all coming to realize is that, gosh, there really is no instruction manual, because it's so unique for each individual. And it really comes down to using your own creative, innovative mind, and also believing that you are capable of it. So
yeah,
I think that you are such a perfect example of what we all need when building a business. You first need to have recognized what you have already built before in your past, which builds that belief, and then use the creative aspect, be innovative about it, and not trying to do what everybody else is doing. You can learn from other people, but you still have to use your own like unique approach to doing it. So I'm excited to see what you're going to create using your creative mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Me too. Uh, I've been looking for, um, I've been looking for the next thing to pay the bills right now, to get me off the road. And it's still a difficult thing for me, I think, to well, like any sales job that you look at, whether it's real estate or insurance, or um I've always been really good at sales and being in front of people. Like I said, I've trained that muscle. And so we go to fairs, and I stand in front of 40,000 people on a weekend, and I say the same thing to everyone over and over and over and over and over again, $10 at a time. And so that's selling, right? That's true. That's truly selling. But it's an instant kind of a thing, right? It's
Oh,
10
mhm.
bucks, 10 bucks, 10 bucks. And I've never really, I've always been that kind of a salesperson. I've always gotten pretty instant gratification, which kind of feeds me and keeps me going.
Mhm.
And in real estate or insurance or network marketing, there's a whole lot of building creating the pipeline and, feeding it. And there's a lot of stuff up front that doesn't get the bills paid maybe real quick. Like
Yeah.
the bills that we've amassed are pretty tremendous. But so I'm looking at some jobs locally to bridge that gap. But ultimately, I all I want to do is help people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to just do that full time. And I know that I'll get there. We'll get there, but
Yeah.
um
And now your new muscle to develop, since you're also a great example. I wanted to point that out one more time for those who might believe that they are just introverted, shy, and aren't good in front of the camera or speaking in front of people. I love to know that you were the opposite of that.
yeah,
And that you can build that muscle, like you said. And now I'm seeing that your new work to do, your muscle now that you are going to work to build, is the delayed gratification aspect
right,
selling,
right,
because you're so used to instant gratification. But now there is, when it comes to selling and building a business, there is definitely that muscle that we need to build, each of us, to get comfortable with the delayed gratification and making sure that we're in the space of enjoyment during the journey of it, and that we
yeah,
don't need the instant results. Otherwise we're all just going to end up quitting too soon.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's that's uh that's exactly it. It's I've never been good with delayed gratification,
Hmm.
for sure. It's always right now. let's
Yeah.
let's do what we can today for today. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I guess in some sense you have been good with the delayed gratification, because it doesn't happen overnight. You don't lose 100 pounds overnight. And so
No,
for you to be in it for the long haul and be able to be patient with the process and losing the 100 pounds, like, you have at least one experience to draw on, that you
yeah,
have been able to practice that delayed gratification in that area.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The key, the thing for me is just as a husband and a father and the breadwinner of the family. There's um there's always someone with their hand out. There's always a bill to be paid.
Oh,
Like,
for
there's
sure.
always, and
Yeah, it's always like, oh, like
they don't
everyone
want to
needs
wait for
something from
it.
me.
No, the gas will get turned off if I don't pay the
Yeah,
gas bill. So
yeah.
um
So
anyway, so I'm working that piece of it out.
yeah, so that you can put energy into
Yeah, yeah,
the delayed gratification, because you
yeah,
have to first and foremost make sure the bills are paid. And
yeah,
then whatever time is left over, you can devote to your family and building this new stream
yeah,
of income.
yeah. And I'm excited for um I'm actually excited to be, I'm an entrepreneur by heart. Like, I was raised by an entrepreneur. I'm second generation, and I want to be that. But I'm kind of excited at the prospect of going back to work for someone else, so that I can punch a clock and make that time. Because what we're doing right now is all consuming. When we're on the road, that's all there is. We
Yeah.
just, there isn't time for what I really want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to make that space and that time, and just go do the daily job so that I can come home and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, you know, even
Yeah.
though I like doing that,
Yeah.
um, it is oftentimes another thing that people don't understand, who've never been self-employed or never had their own business, is it is more than a full-time job. A lot of people think, well, I'd love to, we talk to people on the road all the time, and they come up and they go, wow, so you do this, 6 months out of the year, and then I don't know. They just see the easy part. We're standing there pushing buttons and talking to people.
Yeah.
And oh, this is so easy.
We're
I wish
living the
I could make
dream.
that much money just standing here, doing
Yeah.
seemingly nothing. But they have no idea how all consuming it can be, and
Yeah.
how tough it is to be on the road for months at a time. And
Yeah, for sure.
why I disappeared from the group for 5 or 6 months, because I couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to not be doing that and have some
Yeah.
more time.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, let's finish this call with you sharing what you believe is like what gives you purpose, and
Yeah.
ultimately in the grand scheme of things, what gets you most excited and passionate about, like why we're here, what is like the meaning of life, what is our time best spent doing while we're here,
Oh,
in your
man.
opinion, from your life experience. I want to hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's a deep question.
Yeah.
Um, God, I think it's just about um hitting challenges head on and learning from uh learning from our learning from our challenges. Like, I've really found the most growth in my life from the biggest struggles. When when life is easy, um and we're just coasting, it becomes um really dull, really, boring. And so for me, I would have to say that the purpose of life is in the struggles found in your journey through life, right? And the lessons that are there to be had in those struggles, in the hard times. And um so often it's easy to just be consumed by the negative, and to become depressed, or more introverted, or to close off from the world and think that you know um every circumstance, the world is out to get me, and all of that. And I think that our purpose is to find those life lessons in the struggles. And my best my best legacy or purpose in life, or the two beautiful children that we've miraculously created.
Mhm.
um if I could leave anything behind, it's a better version of myself in them, and to pass on those lessons that I've learned through my struggles to them, so that maybe their struggles will be easier.
Mhm.
um, and then and then their children's children's children.
Yes.
you
Oh my
know
gosh, I resonate so deeply with that. I really do
yeah,
feel so similar when it comes to thinking about why we're here and what we ultimately want. And I agree that it's about learning from the struggles and how fulfilling that actually is. As much as we like wish that we didn't have struggles, at the same time, I think that we kind of thrive on that. And especially
yeah,
if we can use those struggles to learn. If we're just feeling like victims, and like you said, the world's out to get us, and just seeing everything as negative, then of course we're not learning from the challenges. But when we find ourselves in the space of actually being proactive about the things that we're faced with, and thinking, okay, what is there to learn from this, how can I improve, how can I pass on my life lessons to my kids, and hopefully they can benefit from my life experience. And we're
Yeah.
just always building upon past generations. And I just love how you put that. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
We're so
Yeah.
grateful to have you in our community. We're grateful that we got to do these 5 questions with you, because it is a lot of fun for me, very, very fulfilling for me to get to dive a little deeper into the mind of each of our ER shredders. So thank you for being willing to do this. And if there's anyone listening who would be willing to volunteer to be interviewed next, I'm needing more volunteers. I've got one scheduled for next week, but after that, my calendar is open for 5 questions. I want to do at least one per week. So if you're willing to be interviewed, just like Jason was today, then I'd love to interview for these 5 questions interviews. And thanks again, Jason. And we'll be seeing more of you in the group.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks.
have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.